What's going on, my fellow wealth creators? Matty Ice here. Welcome to another training. Today, in this video, I wanted to talk about why I think the infinite banking concept, knowing what I know about it now, why it is more important than ever to have an asset like an infinite banking policy in our life, and to have the knowledge about how this strategy works and how to best implement it in our lives, why I think it's more important than ever. And the simple reason is because there's so much uncertainty and chaos in the world right now. And I was inspired to do this earlier or the other day, I was listening to one of the podcasts that I follow, and I watch a lot of YouTube videos and listen to a couple podcasts, whatnot, just staying up to date on things. And one thing I realized is, it's one thing to be informed. You want to be informed about what's going on. It's one of the ways that we make the best decisions for ourselves and things like that. But you have to know when to turn that stuff off as well, because the world is crazy right now. Am I right? It's crazy. There's so much stuff going on. And I was listening to this podcast. It was talking about like the election year. I think 2024 is going to be insane. Like, this country is already super divided. Plus, it's an election year all across the world, in lots of different countries. And I'm just expecting it to be a pretty crazy year. And you've got the wars in the Middle East right now that are going crazy. You still got the war in Ukraine. Potential war with China invading Taiwan. You got inflation that we're dealing with. We've got interest rates. We don't know what those are going to do. The stock market's at all-time highs. Like, nothing really makes sense. There's so much chaos and uncertainty. And what I realized was when I was listening to this stuff, and afterwards, and I was just digesting it, whatnot, it never really makes me feel good listening to that stuff. I just, I want to make sure I'm up to date on things. But what I wasn't worried about is my life insurance policy, my infinite banking policy. I wasn't worried about what's going to happen with the money that I put into my infinite banking policy. And the reason for that, and obviously my channel is all about infinite banking, and we talk about cash value whole life insurance, and talk a lot about IULs as well, why I don't like them, and just things like that. So I'm a little biased, but I'm biased because I have my own policy, and I've seen I know the incredible benefits that it gives to us now. Like, it's not even just from me understanding intellectually, I guess, like how these things work. I'm experiencing the benefits in my life right now. Okay. And I really don't worry about my policy, the money I have in my policy, because as I was going down this infinite banking rabbit hole, I was doing a lot of research and whatnot, and it just fascinated me that throughout all of the chaos, because it's easy for us to say right in this time that this time is different, it's worse than before, whatnot, but we've been through some pretty crazy times. We're talking about Civil War, World War I, World War II, Great Depression, Great Financial Crisis, all that stuff, right? There's always been a lot of chaos throughout the world, throughout time. And the companies that have always stood the test of time, that have always weathered those storms incredibly well, are mutually owned, participating life insurance companies, mutually owned life insurance companies. And so when I finally took the leap of faith, well, I'm not going to call it a leap of faith. It was a no-brainer to me. But when I finally made that decision to put a decent amount of money into my policy, it was like this weight was lifted off my shoulders. And when I was listening to this podcast the other day, I thought, as much chaos and uncertainty as there is in the world, I've got this one part of my life that I know for certain is going to be okay. And in fact, it's going to continue to grow. I trust that it will. It's the only thing that I trust right now in this world that I can rely on. I know it's going to be there. I know it's going to continue to grow. It's going to help build and protect my wealth, especially the way that I'm utilizing my policy right now. And it just gives me this sense of peace, right? The sense of confidence that because I am a partner with one of the greatest, one of the best risk management companies on the planet, a mutually owned life insurance company, I know I'm going to be all right, no matter what happens, barring like the absolute worst case scenario here. I'm assuming that, we're not going to descend in like really bad chaos. You know what I'm saying? So that's why it's one of the reasons I think infinite banking is more important than ever. It's more important than ever to learn how it works, okay? Understand and figure out what kind of policy makes sense for you and how are you going to use it, okay? And here's the next part of that is, in addition to having the policy, because that is our foundation, okay? It's the vehicle we use to help build and grow our wealth, protect our wealth, etc. But we also need to make sure that we are always increasing our knowledge and skill set, things that make us valuable to the marketplace. Continuing to learn how to build wealth, I guess, is another way to say it. Because it's one thing to have the policy, but how are you using the policy to continue building your wealth? Because for me, those two things go together. Like, we do get a good net internal rate of return on these things, 3 to 5% each year, uninterrupted compound growth tax rate. That's awesome. Okay, but that's not necessarily going to make us rich. It's not going to build a significant amount of wealth, maybe over a really long period of time. But how are we utilizing the policy to build our wealth, right? And when you have the policy, when you have that foundation, it opens up so many more opportunities and gives you so much more control. Think about all the things that we do not have control of right now, guys. That is just descending into chaos. All the things that I mentioned, right? I got a bullet point here, bullet point list, just to keep me on track. Got inflation. All right, if you watch the media, they'll say like how great it is that inflation's come down. Well, at the time of this recording, inflation has actually gone back up. Right now, it's 3.4%. Let me share my screen here with you guys really quick. I want to show you a really cool website that I found that tracks inflation. And the media is all excited about it. This is great. But while the inflation rate has come down, that doesn't mean prices have come down. Prices are still sky high on everything. Here's the website. It's called tradingeconomics.com. It's a really cool website. There's a lot of different graphs and charts in here. But you could see, back here when inflation was 7, 8, 9%, it's come down significantly. Oh, okay, yay, great, we're all excited. But then it bottomed at 3%, and now we're many, many months later, we're at 3.4%. Now, I don't know about you, but this chart doesn't excite me. This doesn't make me want to clap and say, hey, great job, guys, fixing the problem that you created, okay? And here's the thing. We don't have control over this. We have zero control over this. The only thing we have control of is how we respond to it. What do we do in our lives to respond to this? Because you know what's crazy, guys? Watch this. Let me pull up a calculator here really quick. Let's run some math. At this rate, okay, 3.4%, if we divide that, if we divide that using the rule of 72, okay. Did I do that right? Oh, no. Sorry, wrong way. Here we go. Duh. Sorry, I'm not used to this computer calculator here. 3.4. Okay, there we go. What this means is that the cost of goods and services today will be double what they are today in 21 years. Am I the only one that thinks that's a really big problem? Stuff is already expensive enough. People are racking up crazy amounts of personal debt, credit card debt to deal with the inflation right now, the cost of goods and services right now. It's insane. But also, so like if you can't afford things now, what about 20 years from now? Because inflation's not going anywhere, guys. They're going to continue to print money into oblivion. Tell me I'm wrong. That's what they're going to do. Any government with a printing press will always try to print their way out of their problems. And that just creates more inflation. So in 21 years, we think it's bad now. It's going to be twice as bad in 21 years. Think about what that makes me think about are the people that are trying to plan for a retirement right now, but they don't take into consideration that whatever number you think is going to be good for you right now, you actually need to double it. And the problem becomes, how do you save and accumulate that much money? So if you thought that $1 million, $1.5 million, $2 million, whatever was going to be enough for you in retirement, you have to double that just to maintain the same standard of living. So now you have to save $3 million, $4 million. How on earth are you going to do that? That's the question you have to ask yourself. And it's a question of preparation. Like, how do I control what's in my environment and what I do on a day-to-day basis to continue to build wealth and insulate myself from this problem? Now, again, going back to these policies, guys, I mean, we just get so many benefits out of it. It's incredible. I'll give you an example right now. Why I hate inflation. It's theft. It just makes my skin crawl. But what are you going to do about it? We can't do anything about it other than how we respond to it. Okay. But see, I don't worry about it too much because I know my policy is going to grow by 3 to 5%. It's going to at least keep up with that inflation, net and tax-free as well. So you actually have to add on another 1 or 2 percentage points to that because of all the money that you're saving in taxes later on down the road when you want to, if you want to take income from it or whatever. Okay. But then also, I've learned, and I'm continuing to learn different ways of alternative ways of building wealth where, I'm not putting money into a 401k or whatnot. Not saying that's a bad idea. It's just not for me. I'm not a huge fan of 401ks. They give you the opposite of control. They actually put handcuffs on your money to where you can't really use it most of the time. But, I recently borrowed against my policy at 5.5%, my interest rate, and I'm flipping heavy equipment where the average return that we get is 15 to 30% on a flip. When we resell the equipment, we renovate and resell it. So now I'm making money twice. So because I have control of my money and my capital within this policy, and it's continuing to grow at that 3 to 5%, I've taken back more control of the impact that something like this will have on my life, the inflation rate. Okay. It sucks. I hate it. It's really frustrating. And I really feel for people on a fixed income, things like that, and people that are struggling. It's brutal, man. It's brutal out there right now. But we have to take control, guys. It's one of the reasons why I also put together my income multiplier course. It's in my it's part of the Infinite Banking University that I have. You can join the community and get access to that. And it teaches you how to create something like this, what you're watching right now, a podcast, blog, YouTube, and using different AI tools and stuff. Like, so if you don't want to be on camera or whatever, there's ways around that. But my point is learning a valuable skill set to increase your income so that you have more flexibility, you have more options, and you can properly fund an infinite banking policy, because it's such a deterrent to all of the chaos and uncertainty that's taking place right now. Let's think about there's another website I want to show you guys. It's one of my favorites. It's the usdebtclock.org. Let's go to that. Here's another thing we don't have control of, guys. Look at this. $34 trillion. Look at this deficit right here. $1.75 trillion. I mean, they're spending money like there's no tomorrow. And it's awful. Like debt per citizen, $101,000. I mean, this is crazy. Do you think this is going to get any better? Do you think our government is going to get this under control? No, not at all. Fiscal responsibility in government, when we don't have any type of gold standard, we have a printing press, the dollar's backed by nothing. Of course, they're gonna continue to rack up the debt. And if we use the time machine here, watch this. In 2028, this is what it's projected to be: $46 trillion. It's not even a number we can really comprehend. And here's what we need to ask ourselves: what are the consequences of that? What are the consequences going to be? Well, I could tell you one thing almost for certain: it's gonna be higher taxes. You really think that taxes are not going to go up? I saw the other day, California just is passing its wealth tax. It's like a 1.5% wealth tax. Like if you spent a certain amount of time in California, even if you don't live in California anymore, they're going to try and tax you. I don't know how that's going to work, but I imagine a world pretty soon where taxes, like they're going to be coming up with all kinds of crazy taxes, increasing taxes that already exist. Like, I've seen proposals for 40% capital gains tax, and like, it's just crazy, right? Here's the thing though. We have no idea what's going to happen. There's so much uncertainty around that, so much chaos. What do? You can't control the national debt. We can't do anything about that. We can only control what we do. Okay. One of the things we can do is start our own bank, with these infinite banking policies, take back control of our money. Okay. We put it into we capitalize this policy, and now we can use it for other wealth building and income producing activities and opportunities. Okay. Not to mention all the benefits that we get as well. Plus, it will massively, significantly reduce our tax liability later on in life, because it grows tax deferred, and then you can get tax-free access to it, assuming you set it up right, you don't mess the policy, right? So that is a legitimate response that we can have to a problem like this, where the national debt is just out of control. Taxes are probably going up in the future, right? What else? We already touched on, the like wars and election, and like all these wars that are taking place right now, guys. I mean, it's just awful. It's just, man, it makes me sick to my stomach thinking about just the complete lack and just disregard for and respect for life. It's just insane to me. But if we think about the impact here at home, all that chaos, that's going to come back to us in more inflation, higher prices. Like there's going to be so many consequences to that, but it's all stuff we can't control. But what we can control is what we do in our own lives, how we respond to these things. How do we, the vehicles that we put our money into that give us the most control, that give us the most benefit, that give our dollars multiple jobs. Okay. Because you think about, I saw a crazy statistic today. I was listening to a webinar, and he made a really, really good point. So many people are preparing for retirement, trying to make sure that they have enough retirement income to live off of. What nobody is, or hardly anybody is really thinking about, is what happens if you get really sick. Because so I saw this statistic. Let me see if I can. Where did I find it? See if I can pull it up for you guys. What are I took I actually, you know what, I took screenshots of it. Here, let me do this. Let me pull up a screenshot here. But the likely, and look, I'm not trying to scare anybody, okay, but these are, as adults, these are things that we need to consider and prepare for. Okay, like just because it's not something like it's uncomfortable to talk about doesn't mean we shouldn't talk about it. Doesn't mean we shouldn't be aware of it. Doesn't mean we shouldn't prepare for it. Look at this statistic, guys. Okay, I pulled this up from cancer.org. The risk of developing cancer in men is almost 1 in 2. It's 40.9%. That is wild to me. That is scary. But the question is, how do we prepare? Like, what can we do about it? Right? Obviously, taking care of ourselves. Where a lot of the things that we talk about on this, that I talk about on this channel, is building wealth, using these policies, etc. But what good is all the money in the world and all this wealth that we build if we don't have our health? If our health is out of whack? I take my health very, very seriously. Maybe I'll do a video on that one day. If you guys want me to do a video on that, drop some comments down below. I have some really good stuff that I could share with you guys. That I take taking care of myself very seriously, because without your health, guys, you got nothing. But this is why I brought this up, is when we set these policies up, it solves so many problems in our lives and creates so much more certainty in a world of uncertainty and chaos. One of the ways it does that is through living benefits. Okay, so if we're diagnosed with a chronic or terminal illness, and with some policies, there's specific medical conditions that qualify as well, where you can access a large portion of the death benefit, usually tax-free, to get whatever kind of treatment you want. Now, one argument would be, well, just make sure you have health insurance, Medicare, Medicaid, all this stuff. Well, is that what we're really relying on? Because there's a lot of limitations to those things. I'm not saying not to have those things. Okay, but wouldn't it be nice if we knew for certain that if we did get sick, if something happened, that we would have access to a large portion of the death benefit? Not to mention, you could also just take policy loans as well to choose your treatment. And I was listening to a story the other day from one of my mentors. He was talking about, I believe it was his father-in-law, who was diagnosed with prostate. I believe it was, what was it? What kind of, pancreatic? It was a really bad cancer. They only gave him like 3 months to live. And because they had the policy, he was able to get the alternative treatment that he wanted to do that regular insurance, health insurance would not cover. And they gave him 3 months to live. Years later, he's still alive because of the alternative treatment that he was able to get. And he was only able to do that because he had the policy. He was able to access the money that he needed in order to get the treatment that he wanted to do, the alternative treatment he decided was best for him. So having that control, the options, right, is so powerful, guys. It's just, it cannot be understated. And you can't get the same number of benefits from one asset than a dividend paying whole life insurance contract. It just doesn't exist. I get pushback on this sometimes. I had somebody the other day, they're like, I can get a high yielding money market account or whatever. I'm like, oh, okay, well, do it. I'm not saying not to do that. I mean, I still do treasury bills right now, trying to wean myself off of that. But would your money market account blossom into a massive death benefit if you passed away right now? That would go onto your beneficiaries income tax free and avoid probate? Would it do that? Can you borrow against it and have it still compound every single year? Does it grow tax deferred? Can you access it tax free? So like, where's the argument here? So, I'll go ahead and wrap up here, guys. Just a couple of final points here. I guess the way I would summarize this talk is, in a world that is out of control, the infinite banking concept and these dividend paying whole life insurance contracts give us back control, at least in a large portion of our lives. There's always going to be some things that we can't control, but what we can control is what we do every day with our money, how we earn money, how we learn to build more wealth and increase our income, developing more skill sets, right? Trying to insulate ourselves as much as possible from all of the chaos in the world, as opposed to just reacting to it all the time. We want to be able to maintain standard of living now, continue to improve that standard of living, regardless of what's going on in the world, okay? Because it's really easy to get, I'm guilty of this sometimes. We get wrapped up in all this chaos, and I don't know about you, but I get depressed sometimes. It's really discouraging. But life is meant to be lived happily, with the people we love, creating awesome memories and having amazing experiences. That's what life is about. Being with our friends, loved ones, community, building things that matter to us. So remember, try to remember to turn that stuff off when you can. But I'll finish with this. One of the ways that it just becomes easier to do that is when you have control of your money in your life. And I'm speaking from personal experience, guys. All right, I'm not saying that infinite banking is right for everybody. Okay, I'm just sharing my journey, my experience, and my experience with infinite banking with these whole life insurance contracts so far has been nothing but incredibly positive. And it gives me that sense of security, confidence. It grounds me. It allows me. It's easier to turn those things to shut the world out a little bit more, because I know that I'm insulated for the most part, at least financially speaking, right? So I think that's it. Yeah. All right, we'll go ahead and wrap up with that. What are we almost at the 25-minute mark? So anyways, I hope that was helpful, guys. I would love to hear your feedback. Any questions that you have, drop them in the comments section below. Let me know what you're doing too. How are you responding to the chaos in the world? What are you doing to insulate yourself and to continue taking back control of your money, building wealth, making sure that you and your family are taken care of, provided for, et cetera. I'm always looking to learn. So share it. If you're open to it, please share it in the comments. But either way, I hope you guys are doing well. Hope you're crushing it. And I will talk to you in the next one. To your success, Matty Ice is out.